Welcome back to News Talk. Metro riders who board or leave the system at Stadium Armory are going to experience changes in the weeks to come. Metro has been forced to reduce service at that station because of the transformer fire that occurred last week. The change will be in effect during the morning and evening rush. Reporter Martin DeCaro covers local transportation issues for WAMU 88.5, and he joins us now. It's great to see you again.
You too, Bruce.
Always good to have you here.
Yeah.
Can you take us into the details a little bit of the changes that folks will see at Stadium Armory? They're pretty big, and they were forced, as we said, by this fire.
Yeah, and the changes are rippling across the blue, orange, and silver lines during morning and afternoon rush hours. So for the foreseeable future, silver and orange line trains are going to run in 8-minute intervals instead of 6, and they will not stop at Stadium Armory in morning and afternoon rush hours.
Go straight through.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to continue. That's called a skip-stop strategy, as Metro puts it. That's to prevent bunching and crowding in tunnels. Because of the lack of electrical capacity in the tracks, the trains cannot run at the same frequencies they used to, so Metro has to do something to try to space the trains out a little bit more, so longer headways, and having the silver and the orange skip that station. Now, this was the first day of the skip-stop strategy, and based on the WMATA hashtag on Twitter, it did not go very well.
Why do you say that?
Well, commuters were complaining about the same problems today that they have been since the transformer fire 9 days ago, and that is stop and go,
right.
20, 30, 40 extra minutes onto their commutes. Maybe a couple, if you don't mind, a couple.
Yeah,
tweets.
yeah. So
well,
this is from Twitter?
Yes.
This is reaction?
Well, yeah, D.C. Council member Charles Allen tweeted, mind-boggling that Metro did not even notify Eastern High School. Many students get there by Metro, did not notify them about the cuts taking effect today. One fellow said he could not board any of the trains that came through during the morning rush hour because they were all so crowded.
Wow.
Lauren tweeted, skipping Stadium Armory was supposed to speed things up. It was an hour and a half from Vienna to New Carrollton. How's that for speed? That's just a sample. If you go through the WMATA hashtag, people are very unhappy. I'm not trying to get into any hyperbole here. This is a burgeoning crisis for Metro and the customer service department. This cannot go on for 6 months.
Okay, so you give us a window there into how long we can expect
at least
to deal
6
with
months.
This. Wow. So the issue here is that fire knocked out power to the station, and they've had to they've had to provide power from other stations into Stadium Armory at a time when the system is already pretty maxed out, pretty taxed.
Yeah, it takes a lot of electricity to stop a train, start a train, and the fire at the power substation, which is Metro substation near RFK Stadium, basically disabled all 3 of the transformers. All 3 have to be replaced, and it's a very long process. Now, there might be some incremental repairs Metro can make along the way to increase electrical capacity, but for now, you're right. They're feeding in power from nearby substations that are already at output capacity, so there's only so much they can do.
And they worry about overtaxing those, so they've got to keep within.
So, to give you an idea of what commuters are dealing with, say this, my coffee mug is Stadium Armory, all right? Only 1 train on each track can come through the station at a time because of the lack of electrical capacity.
I see.
So other trains have to keep their distance and wait for those other trains to clear. At least 6 months.
His phone line's open, 703-387-1020. If you have had an experience on the orange, blue, and silver lines as the result of that transformer fire, or a general comment or question about Metro, do join us as we continue to talk with WAMU 88.5 transportation reporter Martin DeCaro. We'd love to get your questions into the mix. Dial now. Those of you watching in the 11 o'clock hour, we will go to the phones as your questions and comments come in. Has anyone talked about, and you always wish there was a magic wand at the ready when big problems crop up. Life doesn't work like that. But has anyone talked about solutions that where we're not in the situation as long and where the wait isn't as long as we think it's going to be?
Metro's options are limited right here. There's extra shuttle service for people if they have to skip stations. I should have added that before.
That's a good point.
But riders are saying that they're going to have to look for alternative ways to get into work, whether it's driving, riding a bicycle, walking. Driving on Route 66 eastbound in the morning is no bargain either. It's going to be 6 painful months unless Metro can come up with an effective manner to minimize the delays. The delays and the speed restrictions are going to be there for a while. Metro needs to minimize the delays so they're tolerable for people, and there's at least some reliability or some level of predictability. All right, it'll only be 10 minutes today. It'll only be 10 minutes tomorrow. The wildly varying delays day to day is what's really frustrating people.
Exactly. It's like the drive that's 35 minutes one day, an hour 15 the next. People don't like a long drive, but at least if you know what to expect, you can plan around
Absolutely.
it. The unpredictability is that aggravating factor on top of an already difficult situation.
Yeah, do I get to the station an hour early, 40 minutes early? Right. Am I going to be late for work, or am I going to wind up getting there a half hour early? You know, it's not good.
And to me, this just reinforces what so often people say when the topic turns to Metro, and it does increasingly these days. The way New Yorkers talk about real estate, we talk about Metro and traffic. People say it used to be such a good system, and it's challenged today. This will reinforce that sense of WMATA.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, pardon the cliche, the last thing Metro needed. It's trying to get out from under what was a really bad summer. It's been a really bad year. Let's be honest. It's been a bad year for Metro. And this is now overshadowing what was a fairly good performance during the Pope's visit. The system ran. The red line ran on time. There were no major disruptions. The crowds were managed well at Brookland Station. But now, here we were hit with this news on Friday that this was going to be an at least 6-month repair at Stadium Armory.
Can you talk a bit about the official federal
Yes.
transportation reaction to the report Metro submitted that was to respond to
Yes.
issues raised by an earlier document?
Yeah, as you alluded, in June, the Federal Transit Administration issued a first-of-its-kind safety inspection report. You might call it a safety audit. This is a new authority, oversight authority, the FTA has by virtue of federal legislation to oversee Metro as a commuter rail line. They don't have a lot of teeth. They can shut off the money, but they can't fine or shut down Metro for safety lapses. So they issued this report, and they're going to work with Metro right now and use publicity to try to get Metro to implement close to 100 measures on both the rail and the bus side. So the FTA announced last week that they accepted Metro's corrective action plan. Metro had 90 days to come up with that plan, so the initial report was issued in June, 90 days, here we are in September, going into October. Metro issued the plan, and now it'll be up to Metro to implement the safety measures in coordination with the FTA. Now, the federal government only has in this situation is only so much oversight authority. It's different than the FRA, the Federal Railroad Administration, which can fine or shut down a passenger railroad like Amtrak. So there's going to be cooperation here in good faith.
Very nitty-gritty, right? Yes. Hundreds of very specific.
Yes, yes. These are granular issues when it comes to both bus and rail operations. Just to give you an example, many of the rail side recommendations deal with the Rail Operations Control Center. Picture an airport, you have your air traffic control tower. Metro has its Rail Operations Control Center, dealing with the training of the rail traffic controllers and other issues there, workplace distractions, not using their cell phones on the jobs, handling rush hours, being able to be trained well enough, responding to emergencies. These are granular recommendations.
Can you talk about where things stand as Metro's board continues to search for a new permanent general manager?
Well, word is they're narrowing it down, and they're getting close to having finalists, and they'll be making a hire soon. The great question is, what will it be? Will it be a transit specialist? Will it be somebody who has no transit background but is an organizational turnaround guru? There is a continued debate on the Metro board over which one is needed. The job description is open to either. I caught up with Mayor Bowser yesterday. I asked her a couple of questions about this situation, and she was somewhat non-committal. She does lean towards bringing someone in who can rescue or save Metro organizationally, but clearly D.C. and Maryland is on the side of bringing in somebody who can fix a broken organizational culture.
You talk with passengers and Metro customers all the time. Your sense of Pope Week, if we can call it that, was that even though there was an immense challenge, big questions ahead of time as to how big the crowds would be, an unusual configuration at Brookland, your sense is that by and large, things went okay?
Well, it's amazing how well our transportation infrastructure works when fewer people use it, right? And this goes for the highways, too, right? Yeah, so Metro had light ridership. It was off by about 20% on Wednesday, which was the Pope's first full day of public events. 20% fewer riders, and that includes all the crowds for the Pope and at the Brookland Mass. So, yeah, Metro did a good job handling it. They did what they're supposed to do.
Move people around
yes.
safely. Reporter Martin DeCaro covers local transportation issues for WAMU 88.5. Thanks for stopping by. As always, great having you here. We're back with more News Talk in a moment.